Hello everyone. Welcome to the fifth Aptics 101 series. So this is the fifth webinar session that is happening in the Aptics 101 series. So in this Aptics 101 series, you will be able to explore the application analytics tool, and you will be able to learn how to master the art of leveraging in-app insights and to improve app performance and user experience. So in today's webinar, we'll be taking a deep dive into in-app feedback and bug reporting, especially within the Aptics console. We have a ritual where we usually give a quick recap of our previous webinar session. So in our previous webinar, we had covered how to analyze user behavior using user interactions. Then we saw how to track defined and custom events in Aptics. Then we also saw how to add custom properties for tracking additional attributes, and then how to use them to drill down specific insights using custom property search. So this was all about the previous webinar session. So moving ahead, let's look into the agenda for today's webinar. So in today's session, we'll be looking into the importance of contextual feedback, and we'll be seeing how we can implement the shake to share feedback mechanism within your mobile app or your web app. And then we'll be seeing how to prompt Aptics in-app feedback pop-ups. And then we'll be seeing how to analyze and address the in-app feedback that you receive for your applications. So before we move ahead with this session, let's have a quick, maybe I'll share you a quick anecdote. So before, I was coming to office today to, host this session, I was preparing a health drink for my mom early in the morning. And imagine what I would have asked. The first question that I asked my mom was that, hey, how does it taste? Does this drink taste good? Is there, do you feel it's bitter or something? So immediately, the first thing that I asked from my mother was a feedback. So the same goes for products that we build and even for the apps that we develop today. So one of the main reasons why we ask for feedback is that we get to know how our consumers or how our users feel about what we provide to them, isn't it? So when it comes to the context of applications, one of the main reasons why users tend to abandon or maybe even uninstall apps is not only because they find the user experience a bit buggy, but also when they realize that there is no one to tend to their problems and then fix them. So it's a vital source of information. So when you ask for feedback, when you ask users how they feel about your app or how they think about your app, you get to collect honest and reliable answers from them. So you can also say that it is an honest and one of the most accurate forms of data collection. So based on the user feedback, you will be able to get valid suggestions and points for improving your product as a whole. So Zoho Apptics helps you gather this valuable feedback from a variety of sources using simple methods. So we have features like store reviews that enable you to analyze user reviews and ratings from external channels like App Store, Play Store, and so on. And we also have features like in-app ratings, in-app feedback, and bug reporting tools that help you capture feedback directly from users while they're actively using your app. So this means that you can still collect data, you can still collect this valuable user input from them while they're using the app. So in today's webinar, we'll be taking a deeper look into the in-app feedback and bug reporting feature in Aptics. And before we go into the console demo or the details like how in-app feedback module works in Aptics, I would like to take a small example before we proceed. So say a user, you get a user feedback saying your app isn't working or they're not able to click, say, a pay button. Now, this is an honest feedback that your users are providing, and that's a great thing. But the problem here is You do have their input with you, but the problem here is that it still lacks the details that are necessary for you to address them. And at such instances, it really becomes difficult to understand what the whole picture is. So you would immediately have follow-up questions like what feature within the app isn't actually working? So what exactly happened when the user was trying to proceed with payment? Or what was the problem behind it? Is there a problem with the app version that they are using, or some other device specific problems? So over here you are in quest for more context. Context matters a lot when you are reading 2 to 3 lines of feedback that your users provide, isn't it? So that's where we need to collect more context with related to the feedback. So it can be in forms of screenshots or the screen activity that happened lastly, or maybe even error logs. All of these different kinds of context, they give you more clarity to what your users intend within those 2 to 3 lines of message that they provide to you. So when you use these honest inputs along with the context and you use that to optimize your app experience, that is really helpful, and it makes sure that your users are heard and valued. So this is not only, when you collect feedback, it not only boosts user satisfaction, but it also helps you to collect relevant data and understand user expectations and make the right decisions for your app. So moving ahead, this is the contextual feedback that I was about to talk about. So in Apptics, we have a feature called shake to share feedback mechanism. So using that mechanism, you can enable your users to send feedback by simply shaking their smart devices. So actually, when we speak about contextual feedback, it can be collected in various forms and through multiple channels using different tools. And one of the important, prime source would be in-app feedback. And when you say it's in-app feedback, it means that you're collecting user inputs from users by allowing them to share their feedback or allowing them to report any issue or bug that they are facing within your app while they are still using your app. So what you can do is you can allow them to take screenshots, share additional information like diagnostic info, error logs, traces of previous events, screens, or APIs that were triggered within the session, and so on, to add more context to the user feedback. So as the name suggests, when we tell that it's shake to share feedback mechanism, it allows your users to share feedback by simply shaking their device. This means that once a user shakes the device, the pop-up shows up, like as you can see in the screen, asking for asking for them to provide either their feedback or report a bug. So the pop-up will have two options, and when they have to share a feedback, they can share relevant screenshots along with image attachments. And then they also have an option to share their feedback either with their email ID or anonymously as well. And then we have another option where you can let your users report any bug, and in such instances they can take screenshots of the issues that they are facing and report them as they report the bugs as they spot them. And those screenshots, they can also annotate where exactly they're facing the problem, and also mask any PII or any sensitive information that can be exposed before sharing them to you. So this is all about the shake to feedback pop-up mechanism. So this is how this is what Apptics in-app feedback can help you with. But after collecting the feedback, what next? That is the next part, or the next segment that I would like to cover, which is the console demo. So moving ahead, let's have a quick console demo of in-app feedback. But before I move on to the console demo, I would like to first share how to implement this for your apps. So this is the documentation, SDK documentation page for in-app feedback. And as you can see here, we currently support in-app feedback feature for Android apps, iOS apps, and then Flutter apps as well. So as you can see here, these are the documentation guides. Once you click on them, you will be able to go to that relevant platform's SDK guide. So for now, let me take the Android SDK guide as for your reference. The in-app feedback and bug reporting feature that we have in Apptics is basically a plug-and-play module. And if you have to start using the in-app feedback module or to implement the shake-to-share feedback mechanism, there are a set of methods that you can use from the SDK side, and you have to configure them before you can start using the feedback module. So the first and foremost thing is that you would have to first integrate Apptics SDK with your app, and you can follow the integration steps either provided in this guide, or you can also check our previous videos on how to integrate Apptics SDK with your applications. So after integrating the SDK, Apptics SDK, you would have to use a set of methods to show the feedback pop-up, then provide the shake to feedback mechanism to users, and then after they send the feedback, you can start analyzing the feedback within your Apptics console. So this is all about the documentation and the SDK configuration part. So once you have done all the configurations that you feel that is necessary for your app, you will be able to start seeing the data within the console. The in-app feedback module is basically present under the quality section in the left menu. So once all the necessary configurations are made in the SDK side, you will be able to see the data regarding the feedback that you receive for your app. So for our demo purpose, we have already created an account and we have triggered real, we have triggered real feedback so that you can see which, you can see how it functions in real time. So for now, before I move into the particular sections within the in-app feedback module, I would like to give a small disclaimer over here. The in-app feedback configurations that you do, they are all the in-app feedback anything related to the in-app feedback consent or privacy, they work independent of the privacy consent options that your users provide for within the app settings. So we'll talk about this part later. We have emphasized this in the later slides. So I just wanted to give a small heads up over here before we continue with the console demo. So as you can see here, the the feedback timeline at the top over here shows the number of feedback received in total across platforms like Microsoft, Apple, Google, and web. So over here, you will be able to see the data for the in-app feedback module. And as you can see here, you can also analyze the sentiment behind each feedback through sentiment analysis. And for now, I have selected only yesterday's data. And if I had to check for, say, last 7 days, you will be able to see clearly the sentiment analysis behind the feedback that you receive across different platforms. So you can also select the type of Apple app that you want to view the data for. And as you can see here, these are the number of feedback that you have received for the app. So let me show you the most recent ones that were triggered so far for my app, Zilker app, which we have for demo over here. And below, as you can see here, once we scroll down to the bottom, you will be able to see the list of all the feedback that you receive for your apps. And in this list, it covers all the the feedback, the message, the feedback type, the app version, the OS, the device model, and then if you have enabled integrations with either Zoho project, Zoho desk, or Zendesk, you will be able to view these columns over here, and then you will be able to see the date or the time at which you received the message, and as well you can comment on these message from here. So if you click on an individual feedback, you can view the diagnostic info and device specific details such as the Aptics SDK version, app version, OS version, the battery status, the network strength, and then the device orientation, the free space, device ID, as well as the device model for your that particular feedback. And then apart from this, you can also check the traces of events, APIs, and screens that were triggered while the feedback was given. For example, if I check this help report, I'll be able to see all the list of screens, events, and APIs that were triggered while the feedback was provided by the user. So this all of these things provide more context to the feedback or report that they send to us, isn't it? So as you can see here, this message is given in another language, and this seems to be Tamil. So if I have to see what exactly they want to tell, I can also translate it and see easily what they are facing. So as I can see here, they are facing a problem while they are logging in. So such small details can be captured through this in-app feedback module. And apart from this, I had initially mentioned that you can provide your users options to share their feedback along with their email ID or provide them anonymously, isn't it? So over here, if they provide their feedback along with their email ID, you will be able to view that once you click on this button. So if the PII is available, that means the email ID is available, I'll be able to view this here. But if I view this record, this will be automatically created as a log, so that other members also know that if I have access to any PII, then it will be obvious over there, so that other members within my team also would know that I have access to this sensitive information. So it will be helpful in future audit purposes and so on. And then later we also have attachments. So if the users send any attachments saying that they are not able to log in or there's a problem with they're facing, they can share their screenshots over here and you'll be able to view them as attachments over here. And apart from that, we have error logs and then device specific logs as well over here. To show it in action, let me show you. So this is the error log that we have, and this is the diagnostic info that you can get from within the in-app feedback module. So this was all about using the in-app feedback module and seeing what your user is actually meaning through their feedback, and then gaining more context through these different information that you receive. This can be the diagnostic info or the device specific information or the event traces that happened before, or it can also be the screenshots that they send. You can see all of them from within the console. So this was all about the data that you can see in relation to the feedback that you receive. But apart from analyzing and identifying the root cause of any issue, it is also that crucial to make sure that you address them in the right time before it becomes a larger issue, isn't it? So what you do is you would have to what you would immediately think is that once you get a feedback, you would go to the person within your team saying, hey, there's a problem in this particular feature within the app, we need to work on it immediately. And then they have to know what the issue is, and you would have to brief them. I didn't even explain the whole process yet, isn't it? So it all takes time. So is there a way to cut this process down and make it more simpler? This is where we can introduce integrations with your ticketing software or your project management tools. So currently in Apptics, you can integrate Apptics with Zoho projects or ticketing softwares like Zoho Desk or Zendesk, and you can easily integrate them with Apptics and map the in-app feedback that you receive for your app within the Apptics console, and you can create them as bugs within Zoho projects or convert them into support tickets in your Zoho Desk or Zendesk portal. So this is about the integration part of it. So let me also show you how that works as well. So to firstly you enable the integrations, you would have to first navigate to the project settings module, and when you click on integrations, you will be able to see the integrations that are available for Apptics, and from here you can enable the integrations. So for our demo purpose, we have already enabled integrations for a set of application IDs. And as you can see here, I have enabled the desk integration for my iOS, Android, and Windows app. So when I go and look at the feedback that I receive in the in-app feedback module, as you can see here, you will be able to view the you will be able to see the options as assign and view for the feedback that I have received over here. So if I click on view, I will be able to see the feedback message, and then the details about the feedback, and also the I can either assign the ticket from here itself, or yeah, I can go to the Zoho Desk portal and assign the ticket to the right people from here as well. So if I enable the Zoho Desk or Zendesk integration, the feedback message will be immediately converted into a ticket in your Zendesk or Zoho Desk portal. Similarly, for Zoho projects, it is the same process. You would have to first enable the Zoho project integration. And for demo purpose, I have already enabled the Zoho project integration for the following application IDs. And if I now go to the in-app feedback module, I will be able to see the option to assign the particular message. So if I click on that, a pop-up will appear where you can assign this issue or assign that particular feedback as a bug. And once I do that, I'll be able to view that particular bug in my Zoho projects portal. So this is all about the in-app feedback module and how it works within the Apptics console. We also saw the console demo, and we also explored how the in-app feedback and bug reporting feature in Apptics works. Now let's also talk about the privacy aspects when it comes to collecting user feedback and handling any privacy PII related issues and so on. So while collecting feedback, it is also important that we respect users' boundaries and their privacy. So Apptics makes sure that the user's existing privacy preferences aren't disturbed. So this means that, as I had mentioned earlier, as a disclaimer before, the feedback module works independently of the app's overall analytics and data sharing preferences that your users set. So basically, we all would know that we have an option to either share our data with the app or not, isn't it? So for that, in that option, we call that as the default privacy settings or the privacy preferences set by the user for that particular app. But the feedback module that we are talking about, that completely works independent of the existing app settings, and the privacy preferences set by the users. So using the Aptics feedback kit, you can allow users to openly share their feedback without worrying about their personal information or any sensitive data to be exposed through their screenshots. So you can use simple APIs that we have already provided in Aptics to make sure that any PII, or that means any personally identifiable information or any sensitive data, is not exposed, and it gets automatically masked, as you can see here. So this is how it works for iOS, and this is how it works for Android. So the users can automate, they have the option to mask any personally identifiable information, and they can also annotate screenshots to show where exactly the problem is, or they can manually also mask certain information that they want to hide before sharing it to you, so that they can share their feedback honestly without hiding anything. So it's easy for you to also provide solutions in a timely manner. So after though we provide this option to mask their personal information and details, there's one more aspect that we would have to handle. It's about sharing their email IDs. So of course there might be questions like, what's there about just having their email ID? But email address can mean a lot uh, in business context. So it's better to handle that case as well. So you can also provide users with options to share feedback anonymously. So this option allows users to share their additional information like diagnostic info, their system logs, and so on, without sharing their email ID. So as you can see here, they are sharing their feedback anonymously, so they can do that this way. So in this way you will be able to resolve issues faster without making your users to worry about their personal information getting exposed. So to summarize the in-app feedback module, we can say that in-app feedback module in Aptics is a powerful module platform that you can use to build your own in-app feedback mechanism, and you can provide a complete loop where you can provide your users the option to share their feedback, and it can also help you to read through the lines that your users send and gain more context into the feedback they provide to you. And then you can also draw actionable insights from within that data, and then help you optimize your app experience and create an app that your users love. So this is all about today's session. To make it into key points, we learned the importance of gathering contextual user feedback. Then we saw the introduction to in-app feedback and bug reporting feature in Aptics. Then we explored the ways to implement the shake to share feedback pop-up mechanism. And then we also saw the how to analyze the data within the in-app feedback module in Aptics console. And we also saw how we can assign these feedback that you receive from your users as bugs or support tickets through integrations. And with this, we come to the end of today's session.